Okay, we're going to start the webinar. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is a webinar with regards to the load board filter that Full Circle TMS has built in conjunction with Ascent On Demand. In fact, I noticed that there's some folks from Ascent On Demand on this webinar in the attendee list. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stuart Sutton, and I'm just going to make myself visible. I'll pop up on the screen in a little box, maybe up in the corner of your screen. I'm currently the president of Full Circle TMS, and I got a degree in computer science from a university, and I've went back after about 10 years, got an MBA. So I've got a kind of an odd background of technical background in computer science, plus a master's in business administration. Now, I've been in the transportation industry 28 years, and over that time, I've built three what we call enterprise level TMS systems. And basically, enterprise means it runs your entire business: order entry, dispatch, billing, settlements, etc., plus a bunch of integrations. My first one was in 1995, built for TST Expedited. That TMS is still being used by them. Then in 2001, I started Selectus with my partner, Ed DeLeon. And we built and grew that business quite well and sold it in 2011 to Qualcomm OmniTrax. Then I left there and in 2015 started Full Circle TMS, which I consider my final do-over. I'm never going to do another TMS. It's a big job. So this is my last TMS. I'm going to talk about the integrations, in particular one integration. Now, we have a ton of integrations into our system, and each integration takes a lot of time and effort to build. I'm going to talk about the Ascent On Demand integration, and in particular, this new load board filter. Now, Sharon Harding is actually on this call. Sharon, I hope you don't mind if I put this up here. This is a slide from a presentation that she did back in April of this year at one of our events in Detroit. One of her slides was this, is that why would you integrate with a product like Full Circle TMS? And fundamentally, it's a time saver. Your team is freed up to win more shipments. And that's what AOD wants you to do. They want good quality carriers to win more shipments and bid more loads. It gives you increased quality. It removes the human error. And the integrated providers are highlighted. So if you're a carrier and you're integrated with them, you're highlighted on their quote screen during the award decision. So you get a preferential treatment if you're fully integrated. But I think the biggest telling one is this last point that was on her slide. She said our top 15 providers are all integrated and respond to 80% of their RFQs. So we want to give you a new tool for those people that are fully integrated, give you something that's going to give you more opportunities to get those awarded loads. She has a team. I'm going to show some of their team up here, but the key thing I want to show you is this email address, pd@ascentlogistics.com. If you are interested in becoming a carrier, this is where you send the email. Before I get into the session, I want to tell everybody about our upcoming event in Atlanta this year. Our user group, our annual user group, is going to be at the Renaissance Atlanta Hotel, where it's going to be a bunch of folks already attending. Ascent will also be there. Sharon will be presenting again at our event. So those of you coming, you'll get to meet Sharon one-on-one if you want to, because we've got a lot of really interesting things. In particular, DTH, who is in Atlanta, has actually invited people to come to their location on the Tuesday evening for a social at their facility. Now, if you've never been to DTH Expeditors, it's kind of like going to a sports hall of fame. Mike, who owns DTH, has collected tons of sports memorabilia. There's going to be a band. There's going to be food trucks. It's going to be a great evening to socialize and meet the DTH folks at the same time. So if you're coming in early, make sure you come in for the Tuesday evening. Speed networking, what we're doing this session, we're actually asking brokers and carriers to identify themselves when they register. And when you get to speed networking, we're going to put brokers on one side of the table, carriers on the other side of the table. Broker will never have to talk to a broker, carrier never talk to a carrier. There's a golf voting on Wednesday. Should be a great time again. We'll have roundtable discussions. We'll have the integrations overview again. Ascent On Demand will be there. They'll be presenting. We're going to actually have awards this year, our first time. We're going to recognize people who use Full Circle to enhance their business. Networking, you know what? This is like having one big sales call. How often can you get that many people in a room for a couple of days and be able to network with your best carriers or your best brokers? Don't forget, the event is coming up at the end of September. If you want to register, just go to fullcircletms.com, click on the events, and then follow all the links from there. I want to talk about bidding on load boards. Look at traditional way of doing it where you're all doing this today. When you review a load that's on a load board, it takes time. Even if it's just a quick no, you still have to look at the weight. Can it fit on my trucks? The DIMS, if it's team, liftgate, hazmat, is the geography. Hey, maybe I don't do stuff that goes in and out of Mexico. The lead time, do you have enough time to get a truck there? The time of day, day of week, because you're busier certain times of day and day of week than you are at other times. So it takes time for a dispatcher to make these quick decisions to do a quick no. Just say no to that load. And then if you do have a load that makes sense, do I have a truck nearby? So then you've got to do a radius search. Hey, show me all the trucks within 200 miles. Will it fit on those trucks? Are they available? How many hours since they last had a load, etc.? How long will it take me to get there? And again, that all takes time. Then once you've got that, contact the driver, because maybe the driver won't do it. Should I really bid? Then how much am I going to bid? Then you place your bid, a yes or a no bid. If it's a yes bid, then you're going to wait to either get awarded or reject that bid. Then you do this, rinse and repeat thousands of times a day. And so this whole process goes on every day, finding those nuggets of opportunities in a load board. The way that the full circle filter is going to work, it's going to automate a lot of this. So it's going to review all those load details and automate it, and do a quick no so your dispatchers don't have to do it. Will it fit on my trucks? What are the DIMs? Do team, liftgate, hazmat? Hey, if I don't want to go to Mexico, maybe get rid of that stuff so I don't see it. Do I have enough lead time? Time of day, day of week. So we'll automate a lot of that. Then we'll do vehicle availability. We'll actually do the radius search for you and then list all the trucks that can do the shipment for you and show you that in a consolidated summary. Now, you still have to contact the driver, but we'll give you tools to make that faster as well. In terms of pricing, we'll give you some tools. If you subscribe to the Everest AI product, we'll show you the Everest pricing, which you can then use as a guideline. There's also a system we've built where you can actually put in cost structures for each of your truck classes, and we'll show you that. Then you're going to place your bid, yes or no. If it's yes, you're going to wait for the award or the rejection, and then you're going to repeat this hundreds of times a day. So instead of thousands of times a day of looking at stuff, you're going to look at a subset that makes sense hundreds of times versus thousands of times. What is the value? I showed this to several people at the TINA event a couple of weeks ago. Their response was, hey, it's like saving one dispatcher. And if you think about it, if it takes 1 minute for a dispatcher to evaluate a load opportunity and say no, and if there's 1,000 loads a day of which 800 don't make sense, of which 600 could be automatically declined just because you don't have a truck nearby or it doesn't fit, think of saving 600 decisions a day, having the system do that. 600 minutes is 10 hours of time saved per day. Think of that 10 hours that could be used to focus on stuff that makes sense. Because maybe while you're saying no to a load, another good load pops up that you miss. So what does one of your dispatchers cost you in a month? $4,000, $5,000? If you save one dispatcher, that's the kind of savings that this automation can provide. This subscription is going to be per load board. So currently we have the load board filter working for AOD and the full circle load boards. But in the future, we're looking at the NLM load board, Load One, Selectus, CH Robinson, others as well. So let's go to the load board now. First of all, you're going to go to the network tab. And on the left side, once it's turned on, you'll have this thing called load board filter. At the very top, there's an enable filtering on or off. If I turn this off, you're basically not filtering. It's like you have no filter. Once it's on, there's a master switch that says just exclude all loads. Basically, this says, hey, it's Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I have no trucks left. I have no time to look at a load board. I'm too busy. Just say no to everything until I turn it back on. The auto bid no says, if I have filtering turned on, automatically bid no if any of these filters kick in. So let's look at the filters. The first grouping is by country. So this was if it's a Mexican domestic shipment, I don't want to do it. US, Mexican, Canadian, anything outside of North America, just say no because I don't do those kind of moves. Then you can do pickup and delivery state. This says if I'm picking up in Alaska, Hawaii, or Vermont, say no because I never have a truck in any of those locations. So you can do the same thing for the Canadian and Mexican states. Delivery state, same thing. Hey, I don't want to go to Alaska. I don't want to go to Florida because I can never get a truck out of Florida. So you pick and choose the places where you don't want to go. And then the system will use that and automatically say no based on what you've selected. Then you get day and time options. So for example, after hours, anytime between 2100 at night to 6 in the morning, the system will automatically say no. You can also have a temporary out of office. So maybe you go away for lunch every day. So you want to go every day, just say, I'm leaving at noon, coming out at 1 o'clock. And then the weekend closure, if you don't have anybody in the office on the weekend, you can say, hey, Friday night from 8 p.m., Monday morning at 5:30, just say no because I'm not going to have anyone there. Below that would be freight specific filters. For example, let's say I only have sprinter vans. So I would say, hey, if the weight is more than 5,000 pounds, just say no, because I can't carry anything more than 5,000 pounds. Now, if you had tractor freight, you obviously want to go up as high as you can. And you may also have something where I only do tractor freight, so don't show me anything less than 5,000 pounds. The distance filter, again, would be something like I don't do anything under 100 miles. So just exclude anything under 100 miles. Some of the load boards will give us things like fast US, fast Canada, that's for crossing the border, hazardous, team required, dock high, etc. If you notice, when I mouse over these, it will give you an information about what these filters mean. So if you don't understand, just put your mouse over and they'll explain what it means. If a load board gives us that a team is required and you don't have team drivers, you can turn this on and you will not see team loads. Lead time says if they post a shipment and I don't have at least X number of minutes, in this case 60 minutes, just say no, because I'm going to be in jeopardy of making the pickup time. So if a shipment shows up on the load board and it's only 30 minutes to pick it up, the system will automatically reply no if you have this filter on. So now all those filters are things that are decision making that we can take out of the dispatcher's hands. The next thing is, say, if it falls through and it's still a valid load, do I have a truck nearby? So I can turn this on or off. Then it says, well, what type of routing am I going to use? Am I going to use air miles or routed miles? Now, this is very important because it costs us money to do routing. So if you have 100 trucks and you see 1,000 loads a day that can come through this, and you route 10 of your truck per load, that's going to be 10,000 calls we'll have to make to either PC Matter or Google to route that. And it's not cheap. They charge us to do that. You're going to see different rating for what we'll charge you for the filter, whether you use air miles or routed miles. So the reason you would use routed, let's say there's a pickup in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you got a truck in Grand Rapids, Michigan. An air miles route would say that's within 200 miles. A routed would have to go around Lake Michigan, and it wouldn't be within 200 miles. The position type says, what position of the truck am I going to use? Where the truck's available to work or the last position of the truck? Typically, you're going to use available, but again, it's your call. You determine whether you want to use the last truck's available location or where the truck was last seen. And then you have your proximity. So this says, show me all the trucks that are available within 200 miles of a routed mile of the pickup location of the posted load. In the truck search, you can say, do I want to include trucks that are out of service? Yes or no. Do I want to include trucks that are on a load because maybe I can't use them? Yes or no. Do I want to include trucks with insufficient payloads? Yes or no. I've got mine turned off and I'll show you what it looks like in the email that comes out. But if the load is like 40,000 pounds, do you really want to show your sprinter vans that can't handle 40,000 pounds? Include reserve vehicles. For those of you who use our TMS, you know you can reserve trucks because you might be bidding on trucks. So do you want to include trucks that are reserved in the list? Yes or no. And then we'll show you if the truck is reserved in the resulting email. This one is very complex. It says, take a look at my deadhead run. Let's say I've got the truck that's 100 miles away. So my deadhead's going to take me 2 hours to move that truck to the pickup. And if I don't have enough time plus 60 minutes to pick it up, just don't include it in my mix because I won't have enough time to pick it up. It's a bit of a complex one. Read the documentation on this to make sure you understand it before you start using this filter. Now, these are filters to say, do I have a truck nearby? There's an override. And this override says, you know what? If I've got at least X number of minutes, in this case, I've day, like 1,440 minutes is 24 hours, it's 60 minutes. So this says, you know what? If I have at least a day to pick up the shipment, don't say no because maybe I'll have a truck available in a day at that location. So don't say no. So all these filters at the very top, these filters at the top are basically saying, here's some quick no's. I don't do this kind of business, so just say no. Then if I don't have a truck nearby, say no unless I've got enough lead time to do it. Now, what happens if I find a truck? Well, send an email to this email address. So you would set up in your company special email addresses like aodloads@mycompany.com. Each filter will send an email to a particular email address where you can then make a decision. There's a couple other settings here that says, do you want us to calculate the driver pay? In our system, you can put a standard pay rate for each truck class, and that will appear in the email to help your dispatchers make a decision. If you subscribe to the Everest artificial intelligence product, where they'll do predictive rating, that will appear on the email. So let's kind of show you what those emails would look like. So this is a sample of my Outlook inbox. For each load that was found, it's going to give me a quick summary that says, hey, here's an AOD load. I've got 2 trucks. There's a pickup in Brook Park, Ohio. Now I'm going to drill into this because it says, hey, it found 2 trucks. And this is kind of what the email will look like. I'm going to go through this in detail. So when dispatchers start to learn this system, it's going to make it easy. At the very top, there'll be a summary about the pickup and, with lead time, et cetera. I'm going to go through that. Then the trucks that are found, then more details about the posted load, and then the ability to bid yes, no on the load. So let's kind of go through the sections. At the very top, this is what you're going to see. Hey, there's a pickup in Brook Park, Ohio. Here's the date and time. The load is 148 miles long. There's 2 stops. There could be multiple stops. Here's the total weight, the total pieces. It's not dock level and it's not hazmat. So it gives you some basic information about the load. And it says, you know what, you've got a day and 29 minutes to pick that up. So right away, your dispatchers know you've got some time to pick this up. If it was only 29 minutes, you might be concerned, do I have enough time to do it? It's going to take this weight of the shipment and it's going to say, this is based on that weight, we think that's a small straight. And then we're going to take that data. And if you're subscribed to Everest, we'll get the Everest rate for that small straight to say, based on what we know about that load and by the way, Everest will also look at the lane. So the rate is rate by truck class and by lane to say, this is what we think the rate should be for that lane on a per mile and a total amount based on the miles of 148 miles. So those of you that subscribe to Everest, that will appear there. If you put your rate structures in our system on a truck class basis, there's 2 different rates you can put in, a standard rate and a discounted rate. So for example, your standard rate may be, my core area is Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and this is the kind of rate that if I'm picking up in that area, I want to get $1.55. But let's say the pickup is in Arizona. Well, you know what? I'm prepared to go down to $1.45. Now, this is just a way to help your dispatchers come up with a bid to bid on that load. So that's the top part of the shipment, is to help you make informed, quick decisions. The next part says, here's the trucks I found. So it's going to give you your truck ID, the truck class. Now it says 12,000 pounds. My test data wouldn't be Sprinter. That would be like probably a large straight truck. It tells me this truck is 96 miles away and it's in service confirmed. Now there's 4 status: in service confirmed, out of service, or in service unconfirmed, or on a load. So that'll tell me the status of the truck. Right below that, it's going to tell me where the truck's available to work, date and time, and the most current location of that truck, date and time. So I've got both. Now they could be different because the truck might be out of service, coming in service in a couple of days, and that's where it would be available versus where the current location is. So it's going to give you both those pieces of information. It will then give you an ETA based on whatever you want, the current or the available time, and tell you if you're going to be early or late if you dispatch it right now. Right below that will be a list of all the drivers. So if this was a truck with team drivers, it'll show you all the drivers and their cell number. So it gives you the ability to call that driver right away and say, hey, I've got this load picking up. Are you available to do it? This shows the LA and LL. People on Full Circle know what that means. And whether the truck is reserved by one of your other dispatchers. This one's not reserved. Now, what's going to happen? There's something coming in the next couple of days. We're going to show the DIMs of the truck, and also the dispatch note and the availability notes will appear here as well. So a dispatcher has a lot of information about each truck, how far they're away, the ETAs, etc. If the truck can't handle the payload, there will be a message here saying the payload is too small. If the truck can't make the pickup, it'll tell you that it's going to be late and this will be in red. So a lot of good quality information about the trucks right in the email. The next section of the email will be all the pickup and delivery information. And if there's multiple pickup and drops, it'll show that. And if there's multiple DIMs and height and weight, it'll show that as well. And then at the very bottom of the email will be your bid opportunities. You can bid no. There's no bid yes. It'll be coming in about a week's time. We'll have the bid yes, where you can actually just take this email and use it to bid. So if I were to bid no, this is a screen would come up that says, hey, the RFQ has been declined with AOD, and would give me the shipment number. And that would basically bid no from the email. The emails you will get will have a lot of valuable information for the dispatcher to help make them a rate decision up here, all the available equipment and all the drivers, so you can reach out to them and find out if they're available or not, more details about the shipment, and the bid yes or no from the email. So the load board filter, how does it work? We're allowed to connect to these load boards on a cycle. For the AODs, it's usually 1 minute, but some of the load boards will throttle our ability to connect. We may not be able to connect for every 2 or 3 or maybe 5 minutes. When we connect, we'll get all the new posted loads since the last time we connected. Then we'll look at it and say, can we clear up the clutter? Just say no based on all the filter parameters that you've provided. If it falls through that, then we'll do the truck search for you. Find all the trucks, and if we have no trucks nearby, just say no. Otherwise, we'll create and send the email to your special email address. We'll log the results, rinse, repeat. So every minute or every 2 minutes, we'll keep connecting and finding that data and then sending emails of trucks that we found that can meet your criteria. Now, based on the connectivities, for example, AOD will every 1 minute, some loads may briefly appear on the load board because we connect every minute. In the meantime, something may appear on the load board. If you wait long enough, it will disappear and automatically reply no if it doesn't make sense. So you may say, why does this load appear on the load board? It should have said no. Well, it may be in between that cycle. Bidding on load boards using the full circle automation. We review all the load details and we'll automate the quick no. Based on the weight dims, whatever you've set as your company's parameters, will automatically bid no. Then we'll look for any vehicles that are close by of anything that fell through that no filter. And we'll send an email that will let your dispatchers focus in on potential opportunities that make sense to your business based on the trucks where they are today. Then you can contract the driver if necessary, bid on the load, and we'll give you the Everstay AI or the internal guidelines to help your dispatchers figure out a price, and then you place your bid. From the email, you'll be able to place the bid and wait for the award/rejection. Rinse and repeat this hundreds of times a day instead of thousands of times a day. So the savings is like saving one dispatcher. If you think of it again, 1 minute to evaluate manually before saying no, and you're doing 1,000 of those a day, and 600 of those could be done automatically, you're saving roughly 10 hours of time a day. Not only that, your dispatchers can focus on loads that make sense to them instead of all that noise. Ask yourself what a dispatcher costs you in a month. $4,000, $5,000? You know what the cost is per month for a dispatcher, plus the lost opportunity of missing loads because you're taking all this time to bid on stuff to say no when you could be looking at more valuable opportunities. What does it cost? Full Circle TMS Load Board Filter will cost you $200 a month if you use the Air Miles search, $400 a month if you use the Routed Miles search, and there will be a $100 one-time setup fee to get this all set up. Now, this cost is for each load board. So if you want it for AOD and Full Circle and NLM, etc., it's going to be for each load board because we have to search all the trucks for every load that comes in. So if you think about it, if a dispatcher costs you $4,000 a month, and you save one dispatcher, this is a huge return on investment. But you still need to train your staff to use the load board properly to take advantage of the automation that happens with that load board. Let's go through some frequently asked questions before I close down this webinar. Hey, I want to try it out. Is there a trial period? Well, yes. For the next several days, we'll offer a 7-day trial. You just need to pay the $100 setup fee. If you don't like the filter, you can cancel it after 7 days. Also, remember, there is no long-term contract. Even if you start paying, and you can cancel at any time you just need to pay for the most recent month. If you want to try out the filter, send an email to sales@fullcircletms.com. Again, sales@fullcircletms.com if you want to give this a shot. Will this auto no filtering get me better AOD score? This is a question that I asked Sharon. Sharon's on this call as well. So Sharon from AOD. And her answer was no, but when AOD awards new opportunities to carriers, they look at how that carrier responds to the RFQs. So if you're not responding no, you're only responding yes, they're going to look at carriers that respond more often. So it doesn't improve your score, but it could give you more opportunities as AOD grows their customer base. What will improve my AOD score? Well, I'll go back to Sharon's slide that she had that I shared with you earlier. Being fully automated. AOD wants ease of use, and full automation is their ultimate goal. Full Circle TMS has a fully automated integration for order creation from an AOD awarded load, and all the updates will flow back to AOD in real time. The order will come into your system. You push a button, you send it to the truck. The driver's got Circle Mobile. All the pings will flow back to AOD. All the arrive, load, arrive empties flow back to AOD in real time. So if you want to become fully automated and get more opportunities and get a better AOD score, send an email to sales@fullcircletms.com and we'll explain that to you. Do I have to sign a long-term contract? No. We are not like our competition. If the technology does not work for you, we won't force you to pay us for something you don't use. However, I'm going to say if you're not automating, you will be much less competitive. The automation is going to make you much more efficient at getting things done in your business. How do I become an AOD approved carrier? I get this question a lot. We have no control over this, whether it's AOD, NLM, whatever. We cannot get you approved. You must contact AOD Partner Development Group. Use this email address, pd@ascentlogistics.com. Send them an email and they can give you all the information about how to become an approved carrier for AOD. Why does routed miles cost more than air miles? I kind of explained this already. Air miles can be calculated mathematically. It's very fast. Routed miles requires us to call an external routing service like PC Mailer or Google, and these calls cost money. People think, hey, Google's free. Google is not free. Google is very expensive in a commercial application. So if you get 1,000 loads a day and we have to do routing for 10 trucks per call, that's 10,000 routing calls we need to make. It becomes very expensive to do routed. So it's up to you whether you want to use routed calling or air miles in the network. What load boards can use this filter? Well, currently it's just the AOD and the full circle load board, but we will be working on RXO, Load One, Selective, CH Robinson, etc. over the next several months. Now, each load board is different and will require time to fully get them automated. And they may also cost more, especially if we need to use an outside service, as is the case with Selectus. So yeah, there's opportunities to do more load board filtering. Will this filtering tool ever work with Expeditors? No, very unlikely. We've asked them and it's not in their roadmap to put an API together for Expeditors. Can I control who can change the filtering options? Yes. This was one of the requests we got from Ascent On Demand when we built this, is that there is a user security setting. Once you got the load board filters turned on, you can go into the user profile, click the settings, expand the user order and load posting defaults grouping. In there, there's one that says, can this user modify the load board filters? And it's either a yes or no. By default, it's no. So by default, none of your people can modify the filter. You got to go and turn it on before they can modify the filter out, the layout. Is there, are auto responses logged somewhere? Yes. Every response, every time we look at a load, we'll go and log what we did. So if you go up to the top of the screen, there's this filter and results button for each load board. And from there, we'll show you each reference number, the pickup, the delivery, whether it was filtered, why it was filtered, etc., whether it was routed or air miles, etc. So you can go and look at the filtering results. Can I see who changed the filter parameters? Yes, there is a change log. So we'll keep track of all the people who did it, when it was done, the old values and new values. You just have to go to the load board filter, click the change log button at the very top, and you'll see all the people who changed it and what the old and new values were. How can I ask for improvements to the load board filters? Send an email to support@fullcircletms.com. Do not send me directly an email. Send it to support, and we'll add it to our technical roadmap to see if we can improve the load board filter. So that's my presentation. I just want to remind everybody about the event coming up at the end of September in Atlanta. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to network. Sharon from AOD will be there. She'll be presenting again. DTH has a great event planned for Tuesday evening. If you can get in Tuesday evening, make sure you register for that event. Speed networking, you got to show up to speed networking. It's a huge way to improve your business. If you're a golfer, another golf outing to improve your opportunities, meet new people. We'll have roundtable discussions. We'll have integration overviews. There'll be an awards session. But bottom line, it's networking. There's lots of opportunity to grow your business. Think of it as one big sales call. If you take a look at that cost, if you had to travel around to all those different brokers or carriers, it would take you a lot of time and money to travel around. We're bringing them all together so you can meet them face to face and help grow your business. So think about coming to that user conference. If you want to sign up to the load board filter, send an email to sales@fullcircletms.com. If you have any other support request, support@fullcircletms.com. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thanks to Ascent On Demand for being so helpful as we build this load board as well.